Hey, everybody. This is Nevin Gusak, your host of the Populist Patriot, and we're going to be doing another live stream again. I came across a good article by one of my favorite conservative columnists, one of the few good ones left, William R. Hawkins, in an article titled The Need to Rethink U.S. China Business Relations, dated June 17th in 2022. And this is in the conservative publication American Thinker. Hawkins, of course, he does a very good job exposing the capitalist traders to the United States as national security. And he talks about an address given by Evan Greenberg, who is the chairman and CEO of the Chubb Insurance Company. And this was Greenberg gave a speech to the establishment think tank Center for Strategic and International Studies. That's its June 14th program, Business and Trade Are in Our National Interest. That was the title. Greenberg opened by complaining that people think those doing business in China are, quote, unpatriotic, naive, and place profits ahead of national security. Well, no shit. People like you, Greenberg, who has called for more engagement with the enemy, communist China, you are unpatriotic. You're more than naive. You're greedy. You're a greedy motherfucker. That's all you are, Mr. Greenberg. You are greedy. You are selling out your country's national security just so you can make more money. We're going to call you Shitberg or Traderberg. Maybe that's where we're going to call you. Huh? Just so you can schlep a little more guilt, a little more money. And China, Greenberg Jewish, obviously China is not a friend of Israel. Israel gladly sells itself out by providing technology to China, but China is a big backer of some of the most radical Islamic dictatorships and movements in the world at times when it's used to injure the United States. The Taliban, Al-Qaeda, as I believe Bill Gertz has written years and years ago in the Washington Times. You look at China as a major backer of the remaining Islamic dictatorships in Saudi Arabia, Iran, in Syria. I mean, come on, give me a break. China's not exactly a friend of Israel. China indirectly supports Hamas, Hezbollah, and other Palestinian terrorist groups, even during its engagement with the United States starting in the 1970s. So anyways, aside from that, he felt that China is a sovereign country, that we cannot tell its leaders how to govern their people. Okay, fair enough. He, however, opposed using trade as a leverage to promote change. And a lot of these Wall Street capitalists, they claim very dishonestly that, oh, if we engage with China, we're going to make them freer and they're going to liberalize their economy and political system and they're going to become friendly with the United States. Well, Greenberg doesn't care. So if they gas millions of Uyghurs or Christians or continue the concentration camps and the war planning against the United States, Greenberg don't give a fuck. He don't care about the Holocaust in China, bastard. His main thesis, according to Hawkins, is that China has grown so strong since it joined the World Trade Organization in 2001 that it is now impossible to contain it or decouple from it. Well, I thought when China entered the WTO, the World Trade Organization, was granted permanent normal trade relations in the year 2000, that we would be able to, quote, influence China. Well, now all the capitalist traders in America and their lackeys that claim that, oh, if we have PNTR and expanded trade with China, it could be our friends. Now all of a sudden the genie's out of the bottle and the genie's out of control and we can't put the genie back in the bottle. So these capitalists should not have any influence in American policy. They should not be able to influence the political process with forking huge amounts of cash into political campaigns. No way, Jose. These people should have as little influence as possible, especially on issues that bleed into national security affairs. According to Hawkins, what was important to Greenberg is that operating in China has made some American corporations more profitable by becoming more efficient, meaning employing slave labor, essentially, and other lower costs stemming from Chinese subsidies to multinational corporations, free infrastructure improvements, et cetera, et cetera. It's very well documented. Um, he did decry, in fairness to Greenberg, the theft of intellectual property and the state forced transfer of technology. But yeah, most of this transfers were freely offered by American and other foreign multinational corporations. It's a price of doing business with communist China. There is in joint venture laws, foreign firms have to provide technology to the PRC, to the People's Republic of China. The Business Roundtable, which was mentioned by Greenberg in his speech, put out a booklet during the debate over Chinese accession to the WTO, bragging about how its member companies were contributing to China's growth and upgrade of its workforce. William Hawkins personally recounted that he saw displays by U.S. firms at the Zhuhai Air Show in China, designed to convince state officials that Americans can be trusted to help them develop further, even in strategic areas of aerospace, which means and of course, aerospace, that means the Chinese foreign enhancements to Chinese aerospace means the enhancements of China's ballistic missiles, nuclear tipped missiles that can blow up the United States surgically, as well as their aircraft, which are, poised against allies like Taiwan, and of course, ultimately against the United States of America. Again, Wall Street selling the ropes. You know what? In a way, I am sympathetic to Occupy Wall Street, not its communist cast of characters and even some of the neo-Nazis and anarchists, but I don't like Wall Street. Radical civic nationalists, we hate Wall Street. Not because Wall Street is capitalist per se, but because they have the mentality of selling out the country, all in the name of short-term profit. That's what we hate about Wall Street. Not because these Wall Street hedge fund hyenas may have more yachts or whatever. That's immaterial. I don't care what they have. I care about what they're doing to the country. In other words, how they're making their money. Greenberg did concede that we might need to limit some imports from China, reshore strategic production, and even screen capital investments coming from China to buy American assets or going to China to create more menacing capacity. But he insisted that business leaders with ties to China be invited into government strategy sessions to avoid extreme measures. Whoa, that's like inviting the foxes into the chicken coop. These big business executives, these Wall Street motherfuckers, they should not be allowed into government policy strategy sessions on China, on Russia, on dealing with any enemy nations. These people need to be severely restricted by federal law. They need to be monitored. There needs to be a special intelligence section within the FBI to monitor these big capitalists, infiltrate their firms, so we know exactly what they're doing. And if they are violating laws newly crafted by a radical civic nationalist government, they will face very severe penalties. I mean, this is either kill or be killed, essentially. This is what we're dealing with here. We have to survive as a nation, and we have to toughen up. We have to stop everything is being driven by capitalistic mentality, and it's got to stop. There's a strong place, an important place for capitalism to prosper and thrive in this country. But when it destroys our shared but earned prosperity and our national security, that's where we draw the line. So that's William R. Hawkins' article. Good work by William R. Hawkins, as usual. One of the few conservatives out there that's not some Tea Party Reaganite libertarian. Let's just let business do whatever it wants. So good job, William R. Hawkins. Thanks for the hard work that you do in writing articles on trade, on national security, and economics. And I'm going to end this live stream summary. This is yet another penny in the jar of why we can't trust many of the big capitalists in this country. Many of the big capitalists, like Mr. Greenberg, are enemies of our nation, and they need to be tightly monitored and controlled, and need punished once a radical civic nationalist government takes over and enacts the proper public laws. They need to follow the public laws. If they don't, they will suffer severe consequences. Thank you all for listening to this program. We got some more live streams coming up with some news and commentary. Thank you all.